people in cars were unbelievably respectful. I think that's what this is about. This is where it all started with the traffic stop at 1 o'clock this morning at Dawn Avenue and State Street. As you can see, investigators are still out here combing the scene for evidence. This is a very emotional moment for this police department. I don't think anybody who watched this will not remember the image of Rockford Police Chief Dan O'Shea getting down on a knee to present the flag to Officer Jamie Cox's widow. This week, I think the shock of last Sunday rang through everybody, and now they're reacting. And look at the reaction we're seeing. Blue light bulbs, businesses stepping up to donate, give them out for free. You can't drive around town at night and not see how many people support law enforcement officers. And it's because, sadly, Officer Cox died. But his legacy, we're seeing it play out in just less than a week since he passed away. Oh, shots ring out on a Rockford street. By the time authorities get there, they find a man on the ground dying. This shooting even impacts people here in the state line. Several from our area were in Las Vegas at the time of the massacre. So what are you doing if you're shopping? You're eating dinner on a Friday night inside the mall? Well, you hid. I don't know where it's going to fall, but are we in the record books this July for rainfall?
We are on pace for a...
Good evening, Kristen. Right now, they're getting large floodlights out here so that people can work throughout the night. The goal is to go through all the debris, and whatever they don't want, they're putting in piles like this. The Rockford Fire Department has been busy in recent weeks battling a number of vacant building blazes, but a new piece of technology is taking off with the department, helping them fight the fires in faster and more efficient ways.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fall, so they'll be all covered with dead leaves.
Yeah, probably eventually, but you know, for a couple days it'll be nice.
You know, you're required to pick them up.
Yeah.
You have to.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you
have
really?
to. And then you have to bag them, and it's the whole process.
But don't you want to just play in them?
I did. Beatty made me build her a pile just to jump in. But there wasn't enough on the ground, so I was like, just lean in.
Wait, yeah.
From 13 WREX, your news leader. This is 13 News at 6.
Effective today, my administration is officially declaring the opioid crisis a national public health emergency under federal law.
A worldwide problem. Those are the words from President Donald Trump as he brings the opioid epidemic to the forefront of the national conversation.
The sheer volume of the number of them continues to grow, and it's hard to identify what the reason or the cause is.
And that worldwide problem has made its way here. 24 overdoses in roughly 1 week alone, and it's a crisis that doesn't discriminate.
This isn't a West Side issue or an East Side issue. It's not a rich issue or a poor issue. It is touching everyone in our city.
Tonight, we kick off our month-long series of reports on the drug crisis. Hooked, the opioid epidemic hits home. Good evening and welcome to 13 News at 6. I'm Sean Muserallo.
And I'm Kristen Crowley. Today marks a historic moment nationally as President Donald Trump declares war on the opioid epidemic.
This announcement comes on the same day as we here at 13 WREX launch a month-long series called Hooked, the opioid epidemic hits home. But we start tonight with an announcement the president promised after his election, the opioid problem, now a public health emergency. President Trump with optimistic words as he laid out his plan to combat the issue that has taken the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans over the last few years. Here at home in Illinois, nearly 1,900 people died of opioid overdoses in 2016 alone. So what does a public health emergency declaration mean for addiction resource centers here at home? Remedies Renewing Lives says because the president declared a public health emergency and not a national emergency, that title might prevent it from getting funding to fight addiction locally. Remedies predicts funding will go toward Narcan, which it says is helpful, but doesn't actually help fight addiction. And Rosecrans released this statement saying, while it is too early to fully digest how today's announcement will roll out administratively, historically, it has demonstrated that an approach of tough on drugs has not been successful. We are hopeful that the administration will shine a brighter light on recovery services for those who need them. The opioid epidemic is a problem here in our community right now.
Just tonight, this crisis is taking center stage before the Winnebago County Board.
13 News reporter Mary Sogdigan is standing by from that meeting with the details for us tonight. Good evening, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Tonight on 13 News at 10, you're going to hear from some of the people on the front lines of this epidemic, like the Winnebago County coroner, who described this overdose death from over the summer.
You take a baby aspirin, you crush it up. You take a very smallest amount that you can peel away from that, and that is not even what he took.
He's talking about carfentanil, one of the deadliest synthetic opioids on the streets. The coroner says we are on pace to have more opioid deaths this year than last year. And we're not just talking about Winnebago County here. We have the numbers from many of your communities. So join us tonight on 13 News at 10 for the first installment of our series, Hooked, the Opioid Epidemic Hits Home. Our coverage tonight and this month does not just stop with stories.
And that's right. On November 16th, join us for a public town hall event.
An apartment fire sends a person to the hospital in Rockford. This happened on Overdene Avenue just before noon today. Firefighters got the call to the apartment complex and found one of the units on fire. They say everyone inside was already out. One of them did have to go to the hospital, but is expected to be okay. The fire was put out and contained to the one apartment. It has been ruled accidental.
The Winnebago County CASA program is looking to expand due to the number of children in need. In Winnebago County alone, there are more than 1,200 open cases of abuse and neglect.
13 News reporter Megan Hedstrom has more on the role these court-appointed advocates play in the children's lives. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer, you can go to our website, WREX.com. Coming up on 13 News at 10, the month of September turned out to be a good one if you were looking for a job. Unemployment numbers took a dip in the state. Tonight at 10, we'll tell you where the numbers ended up after last month. Parents, listen up. More than half of fourth graders across the country are not reaching important milestones in their reading skills.
That's according to
Belvedere held a ceremony to show its appreciation for the police department's K-9 unit today. The city appreciates all that the unit does so much. They came together and raised money to buy the dogs in the K-9 unit their own badges. The members of the K-9 unit, both dogs and handlers, help find drugs, subdue armed assailants, and catch criminals. The dogs in the K-9 unit also got special treats that came with those badges.
But most of Saturday will be dry. In fact, we'll have a dry weekend. It's just not all that warm. 40s for highs, 20s for lows.
Comes with the territory.
See you at 10.
Take care.
13 WREX, your news leader. This is 13 News at 5.
Murder investigation. Rockford police say a man was shot and killed this afternoon. Who they want to talk to that left the scene.
And finding a motive as the investigation continues into why a gunman opened fire in Las Vegas. Police discover a Chicago festival may have been on his radar earlier.
And bump stock controversy. The NRA speaks out on a device that reportedly helped Stephen Paddock kill dozens of people. Good evening and welcome to 13 News at 5. I'm Kristen Crowley.
And I'm Sean Muserallo. Shots ring out on a Rockford street. By the time authorities get there, they find a man on the ground dying.
Police say they got a report of
the manhunt for a sheriff's deputy who police say hog-tied his girlfriend's daughter is over. Lowell Maxwell Ambler was arrested in LaSalle County today. Police say he was hiding out in a friend's house and he peacefully surrendered. Ambler was arrested last month for home invasion and aggravated kidnapping in Lee County. He was out on bond when this happened. Ambler's friend was not hurt during the arrest. And a garage goes up in flames in Rockford. Firefighters rushed to North Oak Knowles Avenue earlier today to put out that fire. They say the garage was completely covered in flames with the car inside. The fire was knocked out in 15 minutes. Nobody was hurt. Everything inside, though, was lost. The fire is still under investigation. We have new information on the Las Vegas shooter, Stephen Paddock.
And today we learned he may have researched other locations, including Lollapalooza. No stores were willing to go on camera.
After Las Vegas, police say they're increasing security for Sunday's Chicago Marathon. Chicago police say there will be significantly more undercover officers working compared to years past. He says the department will also increase security when the Bears play at Soldier Field Monday and next week when the Cubs return to Wrigley. City officials say they've also met with security staff at Chicago's high-rises. Turning now to the weather, we get another shot at some meaningful rainfall tonight.
Yeah, the question is, Alex, when does that rain arrive?
As we head to Friday, that's when we can get some downpours in the area. And I know that's what we're looking for, not just the drizzly rain, the actual good shower activity to get us out of that deficit of rainfall. So we'll look over that coming up in the forecast.
I've had weeks to do this. I finally do some outdoor painting. Now we got 3 days of rain.
That's all you had to do, you know? Exactly. Do something that doesn't need rain, you'll get rain.
The drought would have been gone, right?
Thanks, Alex.
Domestic violence makes up nearly 30% of violent crime in Rockford. Now places meant to help people in these situations getting some help of their own. That's because $18.6 million from the state is now going to domestic violence shelters and services. It's a $400,000 increase compared to previous fiscal years. We talked to one shelter that says it welcomes the extra funding to make sure it's got the right people in the right positions. Ahead on 13 News at 6, hear from local lawmakers about why that funding increase is coming now. Still ahead tonight, fixing a crisis, how the federal government is getting involved with the growing opioid epidemic.
From 13 WREX, your news leader. This is 13 News at 5.
A Senate committee questions a panel of federal health care leaders about ways to fix the opioid epidemic in the U.S.
They say the opioid crisis is tearing apart communities and families. All the agencies in the room testifying agree limiting exposure to powerful painkillers and increasing drug addiction training for medical professionals are key to battling the crisis. Some committee members question why the efforts now seem to not be working. The suggestion was also made to educate doctors starting at the undergrad level all the way through medical school on the practical ways to keep patients from becoming addicted. Rowers, get your Power 10s ready. The head of the Rock Regatta comes to town this weekend. More on the big race in just a few minutes. Distracted driving continues to be a major problem on the nation's highways.
But some of the new technology in cars aimed at helping the problem may be adding to it.
Winter in the Midwest can be brutal, especially when the wind chill is so low you don't even want to go outside. That's why the Salvation Army is kicking off its 28th annual Coats for Kids coat drive today. The goal of the drive is to collect new or lightly used winter coats for kids who don't have one. The Salvation Army has more than 35 collection barrels set up countywide for you to drop donations off at. The drive started today and runs until October 20th. You can find a full list of those donation barrel locations on our website, WREX.com.
Drizzly tonight. We could have a couple downpours tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening with drizzly conditions in between. And then Saturday's got some scattered showers. And all of that means we're finally getting some green lawns around here.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fall, so they'll be all covered with dead leaves.
Yeah, probably eventually. But, you know, for a couple days, it'll be nice.
You know, you're required to pick them up.
Yeah.
You have to.
Do you?
You
Do you
have to.
really?
And then you have to bag them, and it's the whole process.
But don't you want to just play in them?
I did. Beatty made me build her a pile just to jump in. But there wasn't enough on the ground, so I was like, just lean in.
Wait a few weeks. There'll be plenty. Thanks, Alex.
All right, you don't have to wait for homecoming in DeKalb. The Huskies getting ready for conference play tonight. Derek Bain has a story next in sports.
So keep that in mind for that morning drive. Could be a little on the soggy end, but we need soggy weather. It's nice to see that in the forecast moving forward. Friday night football, though, probably breaks his streak of really nice weather.
Put my boots on tomorrow.
You haven't had any.
Yeah, it's been perfect all year so far.
All good things come to an end, right? We'll see you again tonight at 6.
Take care.